All right, let's get to talk about the functions of the operating system here. So before we even start to talk about the functions of the operating system, let's just appreciate what the operating system is, yeah? So we are saying that an operating system is the computer software that is responsible for the smooth running of the computer, right? So the software that is responsible for smooth running of the computer, right? So it's for smooth running of the computer. That's basically what we're talking about as far as the operating system is concerned, right? It's responsible for the smooth running and operation of the computer. You get the point? Every computer has got an operating system. So we can give a couple of examples of this. We have Windows, which is mostly commonly used, right? We have Windows operating system. We have Mac OS for MacBooks and Mac computers, of course. Then we can talk about the part of Android. We can talk about mobile phones. We can talk about the part of iOS as far as the iPhones are concerned. We can even talk about Linux for graphic user interfaces, basically. So those are the most commonly used operating systems. So I think you get the idea. They are responsible for the smooth running and operations of a computer. So these now, they come through with quite a number of functions now in the computers. So we're going to be mentioning a couple of them. Then we'll explain basically what the function is all about. Then maybe you can always be able to remember this in the examination. The first function that you're going to be talking about is the part of the operating system being there to provide what is called user interface. Yeah. For you as the user, you need to communicate with the computer. You need to be having a way of communicating or interacting with the computer. That's what is provided now by the operating system. It provides an interface, a way of for a user to interact with the computer. So provides a way for the user, for the user to interact with the computer. To interact with the computer. That's basically what you're talking about. So always remember that the operating system is the one that is enabling me to even type on the computer, to even use this board for me, to even have the way of me interacting with the computer on itself. Without the operating system, without the user interface part of the operating system, it would be very difficult for any user to have an interaction with the computer itself. You get the point? So you see that the user interface usually comes through in graphic user interface. We usually call it GUI in short. So that's the graphic user interface. So a graphic user interface now, or a graphical user interface, is just the one that makes use of icons, right? Makes use of menus, and even making use of my lists where you have to be selecting from them. That's basically what is graphic user interface. It comes through with some graphics in it. You just have to click some icons and you start to do what you're supposed to be doing. You don't necessarily need to be typing the commands of what you want to do, like what is done with command line interface. Right? A command line or a command line burst interface. This now you need to be typing a command to the computer to tell it exactly what you want it to do. Right? Windows, for example, or even Linux comes, or even MacBooks, they come through with both the graphic user interface and the command line interface. So the graphic user interface is the one that is commonly used, whereby you'll be using your mouse, your touchpad, and even your keyboard to be selecting what you want to select. But when we talk about the part of the command line interface, it's basically making use of the keyboard to be typing in the commands, right? You type the commands of what you want the computer to be doing. So for MacBook, and for MacBooks and even Linux, for Mac users in Linux, they usually use the terminal for this. When you open the terminal, then you can start to put some operations on that. But for Windows, they use the CMD to be doing all that, right? So basically, we are saying that user interface is one of the functions of the operating system, which enables the user to interact with the computer. So there are quite a number of user interfaces. Right now, we can also talk about the part of dialogue-based, right? A dialogue-based whereby you will be just telling the computer what you wanted to do by using Siri or any AI application that can be in the phone. But traditionally, we have GUI, which is graphic user interface, whereby we are making use of my icons, menus, and lists. Command line interface, where we are making use of typing the command of what you want the computer to do. If you know how to use the terminal or how to use the CMD, you are using command line interface. But you are using the mouse or the touchpad to be clicking what you want to use or what you want to view or what you want to do. That's the part of you using what? That's the part of you using graphic user interface. It's basically one of the operations that is provided by the user interface. The next thing that you're going to be having now is the part of the computer making use of the operating system providing a way for the running of other softwares, right? Check this part. The operating system runs the programs, allowing them to function as designed. So if I want to install an application into the computer, I cannot install any application if there is no operating system. I don't know if I'm making sense. You need to have an operating system for you to install the application on top of the operating system. So basically, we are talking about the operating system coming through to be the father of all applications. It's the operating system provides a base for application, installation, and operation. Installation and operation. You do need the operating system for you to be able to what? To run and to install and run other applications. So the operating system provides a base for running for running other software. I don't know if that makes sense. So we are saying that without the operating system, you cannot install or even manage other applications. That's one way we can actually put it across, right? And you see that when applications are being designed, they are designed for either for Windows. An application that runs in Windows cannot run in Mac. An application that runs in Android cannot run in iOS. Why? Because an application is designed to be running or to be executed on top of a specific operating system. So the operating system does provide a base for us to install and even run applications. I hope that makes sense. When we are talking about the part now of management of hardware and peripherals, yeah, we are saying that we can not use the hardware components we're saying that the operating system is responsible for controlling all the devices connected to the computer, right? It is the one that tells them how to interact and to operate correctly. So suppose that I have my computer here, right? Then I go ahead and probably install an external mouse, right? If I start to use this mouse now, I cannot use this mouse if I don't have the operating system, because it's the operating system that allows me, that is responsible for controlling all devices. Get the point? It's responsible for controlling all devices. Oh, come on. All devices connected to the computer. So you connect something to the computer, the part that enables that part the part of the computer that enables that device to be operating smoothly is the operating system to the computer. Yeah, like this. So it's responsible for controlling all the devices connected to the computer. To do what? It tells them how to interact, for interaction and how to operate correctly, right? How to operate correctly. How to operate correctly. So you see that the operating system is quite an essential part of the computer system, yeah? The other part where we use, or the other function of the operating system is the memory management part, right? When we want to transfer programs from one memory location to another memory location, the person or the part of the computer responsible for that is the part of the operating system, right? If your computer probably is 100 gig, at some time you may actually need to be seeing how much memory is left. Is the operating system that keeps track of memory usage. You get the point? It gives you information about how much memory has been used and how much is still remaining. Yeah. When we talk about the part of you want to store something into the computer, it is the operating system that decides how much to give to each program when we actually are probably running it, and where to store the program. And whenever you want to install, to probably download or probably copy something that is bigger than your remaining space, the operating system is the one that is responsible for telling you that you have enough memory or you don't have enough memory. You get the point? So we're talking about the part of the operating system is responsible for the transferring of programs from memory to memory. Programs to and from memory. So we're talking about the part of transferring programs from and to memory. Yeah. We're talking about the part of memory management is keeping track again of the memory usage, right? It's responsible for keeping track of the memory usage. That's another function again of the operating system. As far as memory management is concerned, you get the point? And it decides whether you still have enough memory in deciding if the whole computer, deciding if the computer still have enough memory or not. You get the point? When probably a transmission stops because of the part of insufficient memory, the part of the computer that would have probably checked if there is enough memory or not is the memory management part, right? I know that I would love to believe that whenever you're using your computer, you're not only using it for only one thing. And sometimes you might be playing music whilst you are probably surfing on the net. You might be playing music whilst you're playing a game, which means you're doing quite a number of tasks at the very same time. So it is again the operating system that is responsible for doing that part now, of making sure that it allocates memory, it allocates the CPU time when programs are executing. You get the point? So the operating system manages the CPU. That's what you're talking about here. It's responsible for, it manages the CPU. The CPU can be able to do quite a number of tasks at the very same time. Why? Because the operating system is there to manage it. I hope that makes sense. So we are saying that the CPU can then be, we're talking about when the software is open, right? The OS finds it and loads it into the RAM. We're saying that the CPU can then be instructed to execute the program. The operating system will manage the sharing of the processor time. You get the point? Let's say you're playing music. At the same time, probably you are again on you're on internet. Yeah, you're browsing. So we are saying that you're going to be using the same CPU. The CPU is the operating system is the one that is responsible for giving time for the music to play, for the browser to be also again in the processor, because these two applications, they are being executed at the very same time. So who does the management of these applications is the operating system, and that function is called processor management. Then the last part that we want to talk about is the part of interrupt handling. Ever seen probably that maybe you're at the midst of browsing on the net. When your battery is about to get low, there's always a notification that your battery is about to get low. No matter what you are doing, it's more like the operating system does not even care that there is something else that you're doing. It just pops up the notification that your battery is about to die. You might need to place your machine on charge or something. That's an example of an interrupt. Whilst you're busy doing something else, there is another process that can just pitch into the CPU to start to use the CPU, even though there is another process that was busy in the CPU. That's what we're calling an interrupt. So by definition, an interrupt is a signal now that is sent to the processor demanding its attention. Right? A signal sent to the computer, to the CPU or to the OS, to the operating system, rather, demanding or requesting, requesting the CPU time and resources. That's basically what we have here. So when you're talking about the part now of a signal being sent to the operating system demanding or requesting the CPU time, even though there is another application that is running in the CPU, the signal is still going to be sent. That's what you're calling an interrupt. So how we handle it now, that's going to be interrupt handling now. So we're saying that the one who decides whether to give preference, so we're saying that the CPU is already solving something. Take note of this. Maybe process 1 is already in the CPU. Then process 2 is not in the CPU but also wants to be in the CPU. So it will send a signal now that it wants also to use the CPU. So we are saying now this signal is the one that is called an interrupt. That 2 is demanding the CPU time, yet the CPU is busy solving 1. So the OS now is the one that's going to be responsible for making the decision whether to give 2 the CPU time or to let 1 finish first, then 2 then comes into the CPU, or even to stop 1 from continuing execution, to pause it for a moment, whilst we give the attention to 2. Is the operating system that does that after checking the priority of the interrupt versus the priority of the process that is already executing. I hope that makes sense. So interrupt part, we are saying that the CPU receives the signal from another operation or from another computer, from another program that will be demanding the operations of the CPU, whilst there's another process that is already in the CPU. So the OS then gets to decide now whether to give attention to the new or to the application that is requesting CPU time or not. That's basically what we have as far as interrupt handling is concerned. That's pretty much what we have as far as functions of the CPU are concerned. But there are other couple of functions that we did not mention here. Let me just put them anew. We have the part again on security management. Security management. Here we are talking about the part that it is the operating system management, like this. It is the operating system that allows you to create accounts on a computer and their passwords. You get the point? So the operating system allows the creation of accounts and passwords. The operating system allows, again, the encryption of data. Right? Allows the encryption of data. The operating system, again, allows the part of giving access rights to different files or to different folders. That's the part, again, of security management. Without the operating system, we cannot be able to probably manage the security as far as our computers are concerned. And the last thing that I probably can mention is another function is the part on file management. When we talk about file management, we're talking about the part that the operating system allows you to probably create files, create folders or files, right? Create and manage directories. Directories is more like a folder, yeah? Directories and files. You can go on manage now. There's a lot of things that you can do as far as managing is concerned. When managing, you can create. Then when managing now, you can edit the name. You can edit them. You can rename them. You can even copy them. You can even move them, and you can even delete them. That's the whole part of or even rearrange them. I mean, there's a lot that you can do, rearrange. There's a lot that you can do with a folder once you have created it. That's all going to be encapsulated as the part of manage is concerned. So yeah, that's pretty much what we have as far as the functions of the operating systems are concerned. You might need to know at least 6 of them, but rather just know all of them because I've just explained all of them. Just know these functions and be able to answer questions when they are asked in the examination question. I'm going to be creating another video that's going to be having the part on typical examination questions that are going to be asked as far as software management is concerned. Until then, touch base with me if there is any question that you have.